Okay, I thought I'd share the details of this build to lift the 2019 and newer G550 and kind of what it took. So I worked with Jack Wagon Overlanding. Jack was awesome to deal with. I have no ties to them at all other than just one of their customers, and I would buy all my G-Wagon stuff from them. He was great and worked with me to kind of make this, since I think I was the first customer that's tried this setup. He worked with me really well to make sure everything fits. So here it is. What we did is, and they sell the whole setup. I was looking at different aftermarket wheels for this. The 20-inch wheels, just, I mean, it's just not great. There's no sidewall and stuff on them, and you know, some of these come, I think, with 22s. You could take the world's best off-road vehicle and then put minivan tires on it. Just doesn't work for me. So I wanted to make it so that it's actually off-road capable, and had a tire that could withstand the abuse. So my favorite tire that's on and off-road is a Goodyear Wrangler Duratrack. I ski twice a week in the winter. I live in Utah, and so I've also had good luck with the Falkland Wild Peak, their version 3, and also the Cooper Discover AT3 have been awesome in the snow. So I drive a lot in the snow and ice on paved roads. And then I also want to try that performs well in a strong off-road. So anyway, I decided to go with the Duratrack because it looks the meanest, and I think it just makes the G-Wagon look great without running a true mud terrain, which most mud terrains are miserable in the snow. And on icy roads, they just don't perform well. So I needed a tire with some siping. So again, no affiliation to Goodyear, but this is I think a good happy medium for a vehicle that's can be used year-round and still not be noisy going down the highway. So these are true beadlock Hutchinson Rock Monster model 2059 that we put on. They will not fit on an AMG because of the brake calipers. So it's got to go on the standard G550. And what was surprising is when I was looking at all the different wheel options, is these were $3,200 for all four combined total. And I was looking at some aftermarket wheels that weren't beadlocks that for these new G-Wagons, and they were that much just for one wheel. So I thought the price was really fair for a true double beadlock. And so now I was able to, so what I had to do is I had to do a H&R springs that give it an 1.5 inch lift, and I think they're like under 400 bucks. It was surprising how inexpensive those were, so I thought it was worth it to me to try that. And so they did work. It gave that 1.5 inch lift to run a bigger tire. And then we tried, you got to go with a 50 millimeter wheel spacer, also from Jack Wagon, it's an H&R, to push. The back didn't really require it, but the fronts did, to get out over the brake calipers. We first tried the 30 millimeters and they just barely rubbed, so we had to go with the 50s. And actually I think the stance is better. If you see the stance, I mean, the arches still cover them, so you're not throwing debris up the side of your truck real bad. So I think the 50s are great. Gives it a little bit wider stance than stock, but still keeps it under the fenders. And then the tire we went with is a 285/65, which that is let me think, that is a 31.5 inch tire by 11.5 wide. Now the only thing I had to do is I had to cut those little kind of vents right there. They did rub, especially when I flexed it four-wheel in reverse, they would rub. So that might bother a lot of us that have spent $140,000 to $200,000 on a vehicle. It was worth it to me, but you could just go down one size, like take a 1/2 inch or 1 inch off this tire size, and as long as you do that lift, it wouldn't be any problem. Or don't lift them at all and run that size. You still run that wheel with the spacers, and then just run a tire, you know, all-terrain tire like these that's more comparable to the stock size. So this is a look at everything. Again, they still tuck under there nicely. And this is how the front one, and I might like take some like plastic welding or something and cover up those vent holes. I'm not too worried about it. You'd have to, like, I'll go back. If you were just walking past the vehicle, you would not notice that those have been trimmed out. So anyway, it worked. I'm happy. It was always a little nerve-wracking when you're spending money modifying a vehicle like this, but super happy with the results. There's a little bit of rubbing, usually just on reverse, not going forward. So you can see there's a little bit of space. So right now I'm going to cut out those bottom two fins with a razor blade on there, because sometimes in reverse they barely hit right there. Those bottom two, there's a little shiny mark right there where it mostly hits that bottom one. So I'm going to trim those off and get rid of the rubbing noise.